Please join me in welcoming our Good Neighbor Award winner, Peggy Albers.
I just want to thank everybody so much for having me here today. It's actually pretty fitting that we're here in Springfield because this is where I went to college. And I went to college for business management. I just chose the wrong business, selling drugs. It didn't turn out well. I couldn't see my son grow up. I was sentenced to 25 years and did 15. I was prior and persistent, going in and out. I could never kick the drugs. I don't share that for shock value. I share it because this city represents where my life split and where it eventually comes full circle. One of the most important things I learned in prison was to ask for help. Everybody is willing to help if you're humble enough to ask. Most people will say everything's fine when they're dying inside. I recommend putting your pride away and saying that you need help. The recidivism rate is high for a reason. They try to teach you how to beat the odds, but the truth is it takes an army. And not everyone is as lucky as I am. When I came home, real estate was the only thing I knew. My dad had been a realtor my whole life. My sister was a realtor. So when I went to go get my license, I didn't think that my pages of criminal history would come into effect, but I got denied. And I went home and I cried and I didn't know what to do. And I knew I had paid my time, I had paid the price, and it was time to fight. And I actually had to hire an attorney for the right to be a realtor. And I fought the biggest board at the lake that sits in front of me right now in order for me to practice. And I won. So it's humbling, incredibly ironic to be standing here today, 10 years after I closed my first sale yesterday. Early on, someone came into my life that set the tone how I would work, even though my father gave us a great work ethic. I don't know if anybody ever knew Margie Stafford, God rest her soul, but she once told me as I was running around the halls of Watch the Four Seasons, if you work part-time, you get part-time pay. If you work full-time, you get full-time pay. But if you work overtime, you'll get overtime pay. I was trying to catch up for lost time. All I did was work. I couldn't drink or do drugs. My life is so boring. All I do is work, and so people don't have to wonder why I'm successful. So, let's see. Margie also said, never compete with anybody but yourself. I was trying to, we had these weekly meetings at the office, and it had to rain, and I was trying to beat the next person, and she grabbed me in her office, and she said, if you never compete with anyone but yourself, she said, if you never compete with anyone but yourself, you'll have more to prove than anyone. And if you only try to be the best, you'll shortchange yourself, because you will be the best. I believed her, and I worked like I had something to prove, because I did. The second person who made everything possible is sitting in this room today, and it's my sister Mary, and I truly owe her everything. When I came home, I knew real estate, but I didn't know about life. Mary allowed me to start a multi-million-dollar listings, sitting in open houses most agents would never trust a brand new licensee with. She taught me, she corrected me, she protected me. And even though I didn't even know how to send an email with an attachment, Mary would look at me and say, do you see that paperclip? It's like a stapler. You staple anything you need to send and it'll go. And that was like the biggest thing for me. I was in heaven. I guess I was just willing it to go. But once I hired Kedra, who is still with me today, everything flourished because I learned something very important. If you don't have a secretary, you are the secretary. I was a one-year agent that took her money and had a secretary within the first 10 months because I didn't know computers, I didn't know how to email, I didn't know how to download. And over the last 10 years, with our help, with her help, I have sold over $300 million in real estate through the grace of God, but I didn't do it alone. came out knowing anything, so I had to ask a lot of questions. Most clients hire you for your knowledge. Well, I just tagged along, opened the door, and asked them so many questions that I had to learn from them. And I found out that most people had somebody that was dysfunctional in their family. Everybody understood, and everybody was glad I made it. I was lucky enough to get an HGTV show, even though Leave It to Me, to show 3 houses and nobody picked one. Like, I had people calling me all over the country saying, what did the doctor do? I don't know. Like, after you signed the contract, you really didn't have any control, but I say that it was a fun summer. But my clients taught me the difference between builder grade and luxury, and I didn't pretend to know. I just listened, and I grew. So one of my listing presentations, it was actually a huge $5 million listing, Westlake Hardware. They had 3 kids, it was in a trust, and each kid hired 3 realtors. They interviewed for a week, 3 a day. Needless to say, I got some flowers, and I didn't get the listing. But it was the best listing that I never got. Because I thanked her for the flowers, and I asked her, everybody in that room was better and more experienced than me. Could you please tell me, you just saw all my competitors spiel, could you please tell me what I could do to do better? She sent me back a 1.5 pages typed. She said, kudos for asking, not one other realtor did. But if I could give you one word of advice, breathe. You see, I get a little excited, you know, and all my sentences just kind of come into one big paragraph, and I sometimes, and then I just start it again. I have so much to tell, and there's just never enough time to tell it. But she told me to breathe, to get serious at the table. And then she said the words that changed everything. She said, you said, coming from prison, you guys, I had the worst mouth. I was effing this, effing that, you know, and my mother was just like, enough of the F's. And so then I decided, with my great wisdom, that I was gonna just say freaking instead of effing, because that's right? Freaking, are you freaking serious? Well, I went to this listing, and this lady said, after she told me to breathe, she said, you said freaking 4 times in front of my mother. We all knew what you meant. You ain't no gangsta. Stop it. What? I mean, that was the second one, you guys, and it went on for a 1.5 pages. After she said, slow down, breathe, you're not a gangster, she said, it was the first time I didn't tell my story. Because hands down, I had sold your neighbors, my sister sold a $10 million house, we sell more real estate in your backyard, and I've got the scar on my chin to prove it. For once, I didn't have to tell the story, but I guess I did. She said, as other competitors referred to your situation, they mostly said that they kept me in their prayers like I was on the verge of relapse at any moment. She said, so don't let others tell your story. Continue to tell it yourself in your own way, however you know how. And then she said, the reason that why we didn't pick you is because you make too much money not to have a foundation. Find something that you believe in and start it. And that's when Woo was born. Woo helps people who are working and are drug-free. Woo isn't a handout. It's only a handout. We help with clothes, homes, cars, whatever it takes. I've personally co-signed on 5 homes. I've personally co-signed on 4 cars. Because it takes more than just money. It takes somebody that believes in you. And it takes a bank that helps. And I greatly appreciate Patriots Bank and Lake of the Ozarks for standing behind every person that walks in. Every time I walk in, they're like, oh wow, what's up next? I don't just help, I live to help. You see, they get to see what stability looks like. It might be crazy stability, but I bring them into my home where they can see what a healthy marriage and a healthy family is like. They see how my husband treats me and talks to me and roots me on every year. And it's nice to say that you have a husband that believes in you, but men are kind of funny, that they believe in you, they just don't want you to do as well as them. And so it's all fun and games, and my husband does very well, making $300,000 or $400,000 a year, but I creamed him. I doubled him. And at the end of the day, he continued to provide dinner, root me on, encourage me. But most of all, he trusted and had faith and never questioned when I got home at 8 o'clock at night of what I was doing. And I'll be always thankful for Kevin Grace for that. This mission wouldn't be possible without people like Fred Ross of Big Thunder, who donated a boat to help us and is going to help build our first transitional housing in Lake Ozark that can go to School of the Osage. It should take place within the next 6 months. The raffle tickets will be going on all summer. And Fred Ross has donated also almost $100,000 just to get us started, to help with vehicles, to help with homes. Patriots Bank gives $1,000 a month. Those are my two biggest sponsorships, because again, I can only do so much, and it takes everyone pitching in to make this boat float. I've only got a couple more minutes and I'm really nervous, so I've only just got a little bit, so here we go. So over the last year, WOO has completely been self-funded, and I'm blessed to say that me and my sister have given nearly $400,000 of our own money just to make it work. We didn't do it for praise, we didn't do it for recognition, we did it to help women, period. We just saw a situation and we could fix it, so we did. So being a good neighbor isn't about being perfect, it's about accountability, effort, and opening up your life, not just your wallet, to help others succeed. And I want to thank you for believing in second chances, because if you didn't, I wouldn't be here. I thank you for believing in our community, and I thank you for this incredible honor, but it's through God's grace that He used me for this journey. So I'm just along for the ride, and anybody can join me. Thank you.
So let's go ahead and start this video and see if it affects you like it did me.
I have an interesting story. You know, growing up in Lake of the Ozarks, there was nothing here 55 years ago. But I always just say that I went to college for business management and chose the wrong business, trafficking drugs. And it was fun until it wasn't. At the time when you're so messed up, you don't realize of all the people's lives you affected by being a drug trafficker. And by getting 15 years, you know, you have plenty of time to think about mistakes, think about what you did. And so it was important to me to be a person that when I came out, that I was just going to give back, because I used to be a taker in life. I never really started WOO, it was me. Like, I was a woman overcoming obstacles. And I like to help women overcoming obstacles. And it was a life's journey that just kind of formed into a foundation. Dee Dee was my first big obstacle. She had done 28 years in prison, but when she came home to the halfway house and she didn't have any family, I didn't know how she was gonna do it. I just needed to bring her here.
I was incarcerated at the age of 19. I did 28 years and 6 months. That's where I met Peggy. We became friends, and I went to a halfway house, but me and Peggy kept in touch. And she was like, hey, won't you come on down here? She was telling me about WOO, and they have helped me to get me a car. They have helped me to get me an apartment. But now they have really helped me to get a house, my first house. WOO means a lot to me because I don't have no family. So I really didn't have anybody, you know, but Peggy. And she brought me down here and she told me about what she started. And I mean, they have really been a big help to me. Everything they have helped me with.
I had a different upbringing than most people. I didn't have a mother or a father my whole life. They did drugs, and I was pretty much abandoned growing up. I didn't really have the support I needed. I was in a horrible situation. It was an abusive relationship with my ex. I ended up at the domestic violence shelter. So Peggy reached out to me and invited me over for mac and cheese and hot dogs. My son and I have a 6-year-old. From there, she's like, go get your stuff and go to this house. She took a $1.2 million house off the market, which was one of her own homes that she had listed. And she let actually Wendy and I live in there separate. I was a realtor for 2 years before that, but I was so mentally unstable that I couldn't obtain what it took to be a successful realtor. So I proved myself to Peggy. She let me join this team. Woo has changed my life drastically because Woo has given me the power to believe in myself and believe that I am capable of what others are capable of.
So I became acquainted with women overcoming obstacles when I didn't know if I was going to be able to continue protecting me and my daughter. I called Peggy in the middle of the night one night. I just couldn't take it anymore. People were trying to harm us. And I called Peggy and she made sure that me and my daughter were safe. It's different when you've been in prison before. Peggy, we held each other down in Vandalia and she's continued to do that now. I would say she's one of the best friends of my life. There's just no way this would be going on without Peggy, and my daughter wouldn't have the mother that she has without Peggy.
If I was in prison and I would have dreamt and wrote the book of what I wanted my life to be like, I would have shortchanged myself. And I truly believe that because I gave so much, that God blesses me more because He knows I do it with a clean heart. I don't do it for the pictures. I don't do it to be recognized. I started my foundation so that I could get more people on board so I could help more people because I could only do so much alone. And so I wish I had this big grand idea of why I started Woo, but it is me. I am Woo. And I just put a name to it because I'm a woman overcoming obstacles, and there's a lot of us out there.